Command Point now has merch. Link in the description.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again to Command Point. And we are back, Ryan, with the tier list, the one and only sacred tier list. And it's been a while, hasn't it? We actually haven't done one since I don't even know if we've done one since Gallifall came out.
I don't think we have. Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time, but we've been very busy, going to tournaments and stuff. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to get into this and tell you guys what we think of, all the current teams in Kill Team.
Yeah. And Ryan, you sound like death. What's going on?
Yeah,
What's going on over there?
I don't know. I think it's just allergies, but apologies to the listeners and the viewers. I've been losing my voice the past few days, so that's why
okay.
that's why I sound like this.
That's why there's two of us, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess we'll just do it. So, we've got let's go over the tiers quickly. The old listeners may notice we've brought back an old favorite,
Old friend.
the S tier that we kind of retired after Pathfinders got nerfed like the second or third time.
You only bring it out on special occasions.
Yeah, only when there's something really, really broken in the meta, and there is, and we'll get to it. But we've got the Shadow Realm down there for those uninitiated that have not been following us for a very long time. The Shadow Realm is our excuse to not rank the compendium. So really that's what it is. So it doesn't mean that Shadow Realm is worse than D, even though it's at the bottom. It's just we're not even going to really bother. Like we'll put some stuff in there and we'll like maybe say a thought on it, but that's it. So do we want to just get some of these Shadow Realms out of the way really quick and just toss them in there? Like we got Demons right at the top.
Yeah.
Who I will say quickly about Demons.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think they're actually good on Into the Dark, like legitimately good. Probably like A tier on just Into the Dark, but outside of that, it's they lack the fun tools and the weird stuff that makes them a like a competitor. But we're not ranking them; they're going right into the Shadow Realm. Same for Craft World, and I have similar thoughts about Craft World. I think they're worse than Demons personally, but
oh yeah,
that wasn't Kamarites is just not even worth ranking.
Are they still a thing? Or did they get replaced by the Hand of the Archon?
They shouldn't be a thing, if I'm being honest. Yeah. I don't know if they have been officially replaced.
Send them back to the Webway, Shadow Realm.
Yeah, really. It does have witches, so I guess they have a different thing.
Oh yeah, they are different then. In the same way that Intercession doesn't have tactical marines. Ooh, who cares?
Yeah, and that's Troop right there. Troop is actually gone.
Yes. Where are the other? Oh, there's the other Void Dancer team. Okay. Yeah. So a Shadow Realm.
Yeah, Greenskins, who are kind of like demons, where I think they're pretty good on Into the Dark, but Commandos are so good. So, next to Tomb World, yeah, that's a team that should be gone.
I'm just gonna toss them all in here while we're here, okay?
Hey, Tyranids aren't bad, but and then we're at real teams.
Yeah.
Do we want to? I mean, I guess we can. There's still some more compendiums floating around in here. Talons are great on Into the Dark. We all know that.
We really should have done this before we started the tier list, but hey.
Yeah, but I mean, this is valuable content here. Yeah. So, Traitor Space Marines, Death Guard. Oh man, Thousand Suns. Imperial Guard's pretty good. Grey Knights are. I don't care what anybody says. They suck. They sucked from day one. Scouts are cool, but bad. And I think that's all of them. I think we're down to the real good stuff now.
I think
quote unquote good. So how do we want to do this, Ryan? Do we want to start from D tier and work up? Or do we want to just do them in the same order we always do them?
I don't want to just go down the line. Let's just go, you pick one and then I'll pick one.
All right. Well, let's start with near and dear to my heart, the Farstalker Kinband.
Yeah.
The sweet, sweet boys. So I have mixed opinions on Farstalker Kinband. I love them as like an aesthetic, and I tried to make them work for a little while and I couldn't really, and I figured out what you're supposed to do, and I think it's lame, but it does work. For those of you that don't know, what you do with Farstalker Kinband is you take the mercenary contract tac ploy that lets you pick tac ops from different things, and you take implant, and you take recover item, and you take balance the bucks, and you max out all your tac ops on turn 2, and then you just coast and try not to lose. And this is just a gimmick. I mean, it's just a gimmick. They do it every game. It's the best
Yeah.
way to play them. I think they have a bad matchup spread. I think if recover item ever gets nerfed, they are bad objectively. But there's no denying that this strategy, as lame as it is, in my opinion, works. So I think they're balanced. So B, but like they're a low B for me. Like they're not far
Yeah,
from being
I was gonna
C.
say C, but yeah.
I think
We
we could
don't have
put them
anybody else
B.
on the board right now, so we'll toss them in B.
Yeah,
And then
and
towards
yeah,
the end here, we'll double check and take a look
yeah.
at
And
everything.
the only thing stopping me from putting them in C is that some people have done well with them. So I cannot
Oh, okay.
deny that that's the case,
All right.
but it's just the same thing. It's a gimmick, and I don't love it. I wish they were a little, more interesting. But that's my thoughts on the Crudy Croot.
Cool.
So Ryan, you pick a team now.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Oh, geez, what do I want to pick? I'm boring. Let's talk about Intercession.
Ooh. So, I mean, man, they've been cooking lately, haven't they? They've won like 2 ticket events in the past like month
Yep,
after getting nerfed.
yep,
We were always high on them as a channel.
yeah.
I mean, and I think we are nothing if not consistent, right, Ryan?
I would. What do you mean by consistent?
I think that we believe, like, I don't think that anything has changed enough for me to say that Intercession are not S tier still.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there. They're
Like they have,
definitely like the methodical, being just like non-playable.
Yeah.
I think hurts them, but like they're still so good.
Right.
Their real power is in like their rerolls and in their weapons. So
100%. Yeah, they're good.
yeah,
They're good. They're scary, and I think they're S tier. My turn. I get to
Yeah.
pick.
Or actually, before we get into that, so what is the now that Methodical's out, what is in for Intercession players that you've seen most people take?
I think I haven't seen a consensus yet. My personal favorite is Rapid and Durable, which is kind of boring because it's just sort of going back. But I don't think that that's the only way.
Okay.
I don't know what the other ways would be. I don't know. You play Intercession. What do you like right now?
Yeah. I mean, I don't like Durable. I feel like you can put something else in there, and I don't know what that thing is because I haven't just had the time to like sit down and look at the team yet, really. But I think Durable is Durable. You just reduce the crit damage to normal damage on one of the attack dice, right?
No, it's just you reduce it by 1.
Yeah, you just reduce it by 1. So, I mean, you already have so many wounds. I feel like you can get a little bit more mileage out of these guys if you tech into something else rather than just adding on another layer of durability. You know?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Get out there and experiment, guys.
Yeah, the guy that won Tacoma Open was doing Rapid Durable. But who knows? I mean, I doubt that that he even had time to practice other things. And there's a lot of like Jeremy at Salt City was running Rapid and Raider, which was pretty interesting, I think it was. Or maybe it was Durable Raider.
Yeah, something like that. Raider's very interesting. That's the one I think when the team first came out, I was most interested in.
It's pretty cool. I like it. So next up, Ryan, what's it going to be?
This is actually your choice because I chose Intercession.
God, you're right. I'm not ready. Let's do a team that I've been having fun with lately, Hyrotech Circle.
Okay.
Which is a weird one to rank. So in our last tier list, they had just gotten buffed to the moon.
Yeah, they got a lot of buffs.
Yeah. And they went from being like bad to being like an actual real team. So we had put them in A tier. And we said, I believe the quote that we said was, in a few months, I wouldn't be surprised if we're putting them in S tier and saying, what were we thinking? But I think in hindsight, our apprehension to do that was probably right, because they clearly are not the meta crushers we were worried about
Yeah.
them potentially being. I think they are a balanced team, but like if I had to choose, probably like low B.
Low B.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, like they are very much a team that, in my eyes, is really good into certain things and really bad into other things. And I
Okay.
think they honestly like the meta right now. I think they like the melee teams, but I don't know what they really do against like a team like Inquisition. Like that is just one of the closest things to just an auto lose I think that is in the game right now as a straight up matchup is Inquisition versus Hyrotech.
Oh, okay. That's
Because they
crazy.
have like 5 AP2 guns, so they can just wipe your models. Whenever you try to reanimate, they can just pay a CP and say no, which is just obscene. I don't know, that shouldn't be possible. But um, yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know how they play against like these shooty hordes, but they love playing against the melee hordes, and it's weird. So I think they're also really internally imbalanced. Like it's Chronomancer pretty much every game, and you don't usually take the Psycho or the Techno, especially not the Techno. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think they're B.
All right. Definitely above Crude though.
I don't even
Um.
know. I
Oh,
don't even know.
really? I
Yeah.
think I think they're probably better than Crude. So let's go ahead and move on to something that we're both pretty familiar with. And that's probably one of the old, well, literally the oldest kill team. And that's going to be the Vet Guard.
Oh, yeah.
So, Vet Guard are, I mean, compared to like all these other teams that have come out, it's like they just get everything, and they have been like untouched by any like nerfs
Yep.
or buffs for the longest time.
They will never be nerfed.
They're
It
never
will
gonna
never
get
happen
nerfed. No,
because
the team's
this
so
team,
old.
they have like plot armor, dude. Every single time that Vicard is at the top of the meta and is clearly the best team, something comes out that is just busted and
Yeah,
it like overshadows them.
yeah,
And that's exactly what happened this time. Because we were last tier list, we were talking about how Vecgard are the best team in our eyes. And then what comes out? Freaking Gallowfall and Ashes of Faith, and nobody's talking about Vecgard anymore.
yep,
But they're still great. I think they're better than Intercession. Honestly, they're not as easy to play.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm more afraid
They're
of a
definitely better than
yeah.
Intercession.
I'm more afraid of a good Vecgard player than a good Intercession player. Um,
I will say there is something to be said with regards to the cognitive load of running the 6-man intercession squad during a multi-round, like 1 or 2 day event.
mhm.
That you don't really find in a lot of the other like high skill level teams.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, like we've seen multiple, uh, you know, really good kill team players win tournaments and have consistently good results with Vet Guard.
yeah.
Um,
All it takes is one like Rain Man to just play Vecgard and just roll a tournament.
yeah, I mean, look at
Yeah.
Ace a few years ago, so
Yeah. I mean, almost every major tournament scene at some point or another has been dominated by Vecgard.
yeah,
Spain was by Ace. For a little while, Chris Baki dominated the US with Vecgard. Poland was dominated for like a year and a half by one Vecgard player who went like a year without losing a tournament game. And it's like,
that's actually
it's just,
insane.
yeah, right
Um,
now, Russia is getting dominated by a Vecgard player. I think they're stupid. I think they're outdated in some ways in terms of like how good some of their operatives are.
yeah,
Um, and I think they're S tier. I think if these last two releases weren't so silly, Vecgard would be the best team. But yeah, um, that's just how I see it. So next up, let's do a newly buffed team, the most buffed team from
okay,
the last data slate,
yeah, they've been hitting the
and
gym.
that's the Exaction Squad, the RBTs.
Yeah,
So they were D before. They were the worst team. But I don't think that's true, obviously. I don't think anybody thinks that anymore. Um, I honestly think that I don't know if they're gonna get it, but I think they need another buff. I don't think it needs to be a big buff. It probably just something small, like a quality of life, but they're still, and I don't know exactly how to describe it, they're kind of awkward to play, where it just feels like something's missing still. You can't give the team more operatives because the box only came with 11, so that's out of the
They've
question.
got, what do they have now? They have eight. They like each have
8
eight
wounds.
wounds now, right? With a 4-up
Yes.
save.
Yes. And that shields have 3 up saves.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't
I don't know what it
know.
is.
Yeah,
There's just something, maybe I'm wrong, maybe somebody's gonna pick them up and, that would be sick. I wanna play them a little bit. I don't think I would play them at a tournament, but I want to give them a spin and,
uh-huh.
play them. I think they're C right now.
Okay.
I think I think they're elevated from D at this point.
Yeah.
They might even be B, but I feel more comfortable putting them in C at the moment.
Yeah.
Um,
Because I mean, I personally have not seen any big tournament results where Exaction Squad is like has won one yet or has is like in the conversation for a strong team, strong
yeah.
tournament placing. So I say
Yeah.
we can leave them there.
Okay. What's next?
Um, so what do we want to talk about? I kind of want to talk about Kasserkin because I think
Okay.
Kasserkin is in a really interesting spot right now. They have a lot of, I mean, they got buffed semi recently, and
Yes.
the team, it feels like they're all at 8 wounds now. They have, the combat knife equipment is just 1 EP or something. Um, so like with the buffs they've gotten to their elite points, it feels like they're, I don't know, they just seem like a solid team. With a lot of, they have good dice fixing. Like this is a dice game, and this team now has good dice fixing. Um, and they've got a lot of really good firepower. They're good into an elites matchup. The only thing that gives me pause is, of course, like all of these like melee hordes that are running around now.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I don't want to put them in S tier because I think they have a poor matchup into those teams. But I think I can put them in A tier and be confident.
Yeah. I'm not very bullish about Castercan about where I rank them. My gut would say B, but I think you make a fine case. I do think they're quite good. They did win BAO right before the Ashes of Faith came out. Um, and that was a pretty big tournament. So like, yeah, I don't know. I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see A. All right. Next up, let's do. Let's get this out of the way. Hearthkin Salvagers. Um, they were not very good on
No.
release, and they got like a tiny buff, but it was like it's too early to really buff them kind of buff. And I think they're obviously the worst team right now. Like I don't think it's close. Um, so I mean, they're D in my eyes, and once they get buffed properly, I think that we can talk about them again. Not us. Get them down there.
That's a real shame. I put so much
Yeah.
time into painting up that one Hearthkin Salvager dude, and I love these models. It's such a shame that they're really, you're putting Exaction Squad above these guys?
I would. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
It seems like they have so many good weapon profiles that it's like,
they do, but somebody's got to be D because it's all relative in my eyes,
yeah,
and
of course.
nothing in my opinion is worse than them.
All right.
um, and they'll get buffed. They'll get buffed, and they'll have their time. And because there's never been a team I think in this game that has been bad for its whole existence outside of like teams that are brand new. Like even the teams that are kind of bad now, that aren't Hearthkin are like were maybe good at some point and have just like aged out. But
Gotcha.
Hearthkin will be good. I believe it'll come.
So let's now talk about a team that's been recently buffed. Let's talk about I almost said Thousand Suns. Uh, yeah, the White Dwarf Thousand Suns. I'm completely
The
blanking
Warp
on the name of
Coven.
this team. Yeah, the Warp Coven. Yeah. Um, so they recently got a bunch of buffs, right?
Yeah, and that's actually the team I was referring to, and I said teams that used to be good that have kind of like aged out a little bit.
Yeah.
But you're right; they were buffed recently, and I think they're good buffs. But I don't necessarily think it's enough. Um, I think that like the team has this restriction where if you take too many Zangors, you have to take a recon, and if you take too many rubrics, you have to take security. And I hate that.
Yeah.
Like, just let the team pick. Every other team gets to pick. Why does Warp Coven have this weird restriction? If you could take a bunch of Zangors with security, I think they're like an actual, team. Or if you could, I don't know. It just is weird to me the way that this team is designed, and it's because they're older. Like, and honestly, it's like if they came out today, they'd probably have a lot less restrictions. Um, like I was talking to somebody recently about how, like, if you look at Chaos Cult, the Psyker can do they can do multiple psychic actions in a turn, and same for Felgor. And the Thousand Sons have to pay a CP to do that. That's like their whole thing is that they're psychic dudes. Like they have to pay a CP just to use more
Yeah.
than one psychic spell a turn. Like that is just
Yeah,
crazy to
it's
me.
very dumb, yeah.
I would say they're mid. They're C. I think they're worse than Exaction, maybe, possibly. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, I'd say worse than Exaction. Because honestly, I don't think there's anything on the entire Warp Coven team that can reliably kill one of the shield guys in melee.
Yeah.
Except for maybe not even then. The guy with the 5 attacks, if you give him the boon, you can give one of the sorcerers a boon and have him have 5 attacks, and then you give him a relentless weapon. Maybe that guy can kill one of these dudes, but that's
Mhm.
like it. Assuming they're rolling average on both sides.
Yeah. All right, so what's your next choice, Shane?
Ooh. Let's do my favorite team. Let's do Legionnaires.
Okay.
So I think that Legionnaires are personally, I think they're A tier. Um Back before the mutagenic nerf, I would have said S tier. But unfortunately we got nerfed. Um like I think that they are okay in the meta right now. Like I think their worst matchups are teams that aren't really getting taken a lot at the moment, which is really good for us.
Yeah.
But I still don't think in terms of like raw like potential that they are better than the teams that we're going to have in S tier or the teams that I envision in S tier. Um it's kind of like how Intercession is like I think they're a similar power level to Intercession, but Intercession are just easier to pilot. Not that Legionaries are hard to pilot, but
Yeah,
Intercession
no,
are pretty
because
easy.
intercession's very, very straightforward.
Yeah.
Like literally, I think the biggest decision you make as a intercession player is probably, okay, do I want to use Devastator or Tactical Doctrine this turn?
Yes.
I think that's the biggest decision point. With um, the Legionnaires, it's like each model is unique and has its own unique abilities, and it feels like an actual kill team. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yes.
So they're definitely harder to pilot.
Um but yeah, I think they're A tier. I think they're like not bad into a lot of stuff, but they don't like completely crush a ton of things either outside of like a few matchups. Um
What matchups do you think they do completely crush? Out of curiosity.
I think very conveniently they crush Intercession in my eyes.
Okay.
They crush Phobos. I
Just
think
like
they're
any
really
other elites, they trade into,
yeah,
or
pretty
not even
much.
trade into, they can just kill.
Yeah, they just kill. Um I think they're pretty good into some hordes. there's other hordes that are really tough for them.
Uh,
Like Thousand Sun or Warp Coven, for instance, I don't think should ever really beat Legionaries. I think Legionaries are pretty good into Commandos too, which is good. Um, I don't think they crush Commandos, but I think it's a good matchup. Um, yeah, I don't know. I like where Legionary are right now. I hope nothing like changes with them,
mhm.
unless it's like internal balance changes, like to make like I don't know. Some people want Slaanesh to be better, and there's definitely like an argument for some other ploys, but I kind of like Slaanesh already. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I would like to, because it feels like that team, and this is with a lot of kill teams, to be fair. It feels like there are an obvious 6 or 7 best operatives on the roster that you're always going to take.
Yeah,
Um, so I feel like potentially revisiting that and maybe tweaking some things up just so there's more variety, matchup to
yeah.
matchup would be good.
I do think one of the things I like about Legionary is that there's none of the operatives, like specialists wise, that I don't ever take.
Okay.
I found use cases for every possible
Yeah.
guy, which is really nice. Even like the butcher, for instance, comes out very rarely, but he
Yeah.
does come out sometimes. Like there are spots for him. But yeah,
Okay. Um, so next up, I'm gonna go ahead and choose the Corsairs.
okay,
So, Corsairs, everyone at this point kind of knows their biggest weakness is a lack of any kind of rerolls built into their team, whether it be with their ploys or with the model's data sheets. So the team is really, I hate to say dice dependent, but they are.
yeah,
And so because of that, it has it keeps them from like consistently having good tournament results, and deep tournament runs are cut short, oftentimes by the Corsairs dice.
yep.
So I'm gonna say
I
B.
think they're B.
I think they're
Yeah,
B. I think they're perfectly balanced because it's literally dice. No, it's not all dice rolls, obviously. Um, the models themselves like are good, right? They have a lot of like cool tricks and abilities, and their movement speed is great and everything. And you can whiff of them, not just depending on your dice, but it's like, man, like just having like a relentless or like a ceaseless somewhere, um, I think would really help the team out a lot, and they just don't have that. So B tier.
yep. Yeah, I agree. Completely agreed. Next up, let's go to let's talk about Felgor Ravagers, Ryan.
Oh yeah,
Hot topic team.
I don't know about
So
that, but
yeah, they I mean, when they came out, everybody was
oh yeah,
screaming
everybody
and
was
crying.
screaming and crying and
And I don't know if that was warranted at the time. They're definitely very good.
yeah,
Like I probably I probably put them above Vetguard and Intercession at this moment. But
yeah,
it's not like they're an S plus plus kind of team.
no,
Like that's not what they are to me. They are at worst they're a skew, a major skew where some teams really struggle into them and other teams can deal with them, which I don't think is great for the game. And I think that is a problem that I think should be addressed. But for the teams that can beat them, and I think most of the teams near the top can, it's perfectly doable. Um, I think they're very good. Um, I feel like they're going to get nerfed just because there's a lot of outrage about it, and I think they're kind of a little more boring to play than I was hoping personally. Like you kind of just walk
kind of
up
just
and
yeah, you walk up and punch, and then you get shot, and then you don't die, and then you do something with the model, or it dies, and then it winds up dying anyway. But
yeah. I mean, you
it's
just pretty much
they're
control
a
points and
yeah, they're a one trick goat.
sort of. But that one trick is not very easy to stop, which
No.
which is what
Yeah.
makes them so threatening. I like goats. I want to play them a little bit more personally, but I have a feeling they're going to get nerfed, and then I'm not going to want to play them as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think they're very, very good. Even in general, like not counting askew, they're probably too good, and they probably should get nerfed at some point. But I hope that they aren't too heavy-handed with it. That's what I'll say.
So there is a team that I wish they were a little bit more heavy-handed with. That's gonna be this is it. This is gonna be the Chaos Cult.
Oh, we're
Right?
doing this now, huh?
Yeah, we're doing this now.
Okay.
Probably halfway through the video or something like that. So gotta bury it.
Yeah.
So gosh, if you guys listened to the last episode of the Command Point podcast, you'll know that Shane and I faced off my Chaos Cult uh, against his Chaos Legionnaires, and Shane was able to, due to like the deployment zone we were on, um, and getting a recon dash, was able to find an angle where his Warp Fire Acolyte was able to kill 10 of my Chaos Cult models on turn 1 before I even had an activation. Or actually, I had one activation. So that happened. He killed all of my Dark Commune operatives and 5 other cultists. And then I came back and I almost beat him. Final score was 13-14. Yeah, I mean, this team it's wildly overpowered. I'm tired of saying it. This is the reason why we have the S++ tier out here. Shane, what do you
Yeah.
have to say on Chaos Cultists?
I mean, I think that story says enough. They're obscene. I think they are probably the best team that has been out in this game. I think they're better than release Pathfinders
Yeah.
and release Gellerpox and, release Talons even. I think they're probably better than that.
Oh yeah.
They're just bonkers, and there's just too much going on here. They need a big nerf. This is the only team I've ever seen TOs even have a conversation about banning,
Yeah.
which I don't think you should do unless another data slate happens and they like get completely ignored, which I doubt will happen. But yeah, Chaos Cults are a problem.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I want to say that like I personally love the team. I think the
Yep.
idea of mutations, I think the team has a very cool design space. Um, the team, well, I had a lot of fun playing them at that tournament. But I think that the way that the mutation effects are now, where they come back at full wounds as like the mutant or the torment, I think that is just so strong by itself. I think if I were to tone down anything, it would be that.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
Yeah.
like, what is it? It's like the devotees fighting in melee combat. They get to mutate into a mutant as long as they do damage or something.
Yep.
I think that's pretty wild, too.
It definitely is because it rewards like a swing. Where like
Yeah,
most of the time, when that happened, not most of the time, but a good chunk of the time when that happens, it's because you charged a devotee and like rolled bad and didn't kill it, which is already bad, generically speaking, for the board state. But then it just like gave your opponent another model. Like realistically, it just gave them a torment next turn.
yeah,
Like, to go from not killing a 7-win model in melee to that, it's like, dude, like I've already been screwed.
yeah.
Like,
You could probably just take that out of the team. Now that I'm thinking about that, yeah,
yeah, I think you're right.
yeah.
Honestly, I think you could.
But
It's
let's
not
not
needed
make
anyway.
this whole video about the Chaos Cult. Let's go ahead and move on, Shane. What do we want to talk about next?
Um, I want to talk about novitiates because they're kind of boring, and I don't want to have them at the end of the video. Let's just get them out of the way. Um,
I like them a lot. I think I want. I didn't. So it's funny. They've grown on me a lot because when this team first came out, I was like, their aesthetic is so boring. But I keep looking at the models, just in a plastic bag, unbuilt, unpainted, and I'm like, I kind of want to build these. I kind of want to build these ladies.
I mean,
I think I can
straight
make them
up,
look good.
straight up, they are a good team.
Oh
Like
yeah, that's not up for debate.
that has not changed. It's not quite like Vetguard where it's like they've just gone under the radar and have been like the best team secretly for at different points. Like it's always been when they were the best team, everybody knew it.
Yeah,
But and they got nerfed and they've been good and people just dropped them. Um I think they're probably their ceiling is probably A tier,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I think that they I don't know. I think you could probably say really strong B or really low A. I don't
I,
know.
I would say low A, and the reason for that is they have a dice fixing mechanic, kind of like the Kasserkin, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think has the better dice fixing though? Do you think it's the Kasserkin's elite points, or do you think it's the Sisters Novitiates, their faith dice, or whatever it is?
I think Faith as a in a vacuum as a mechanic, Faith points are way better, but Caster can have better weapons to use their points with compared
Right.
to Notes. So it's kind of like a toss up. Um, I think it's pretty balanced in that regard. They're both like 4 up save, 7/8 wound chassis on the team, 10 models each. They're very similar. Um, I think that even though they have less wounds, I think novitiates are a little tankier because of those faith points.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I I think they're A tier. I think yeah, you could say A tier.
Okay. We'll put them right under Kasserkin then.
Yeah,
Uh oh, it's my turn.
it is your
Um,
turn.
let's talk about the killer clowns from space. Let's talk about the
Ooh,
Harlequins.
yeah,
I really like the Harlequins. I really like their play style. Um,
I think they're great.
I think they're great. I don't think they're S tier, but
That's fair.
I think
They're
they're
definitely at least A. There's no like format that you can create in Kill Team where the where void dancers are not at least A tier.
oh yeah,
Like the
no.
team is just too cracked
No.
and on paper.
I think they're A tier. I think they would either be, at least on our list, in between Kasserkin and Legionnaires.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah. There's not really a whole lot to say about them in my games that I've been running with them. I'll just be straight up with it. I haven't been running them as like optimized, as an
Mhm.
optimized Harlequin team, because I've just been running them as what you see is what you get with their model, with like what I've modeled them with. So I haven't really teched into like the specialty weapons depending on the matchup.
Yeah.
But I've had a lot of success with them, so I like them a lot. So
Yep. I think they're good.
yeah,
Um, and they nothing's going to change that unless they get nerfed more, which I don't think they need to right now.
I don't think that'll happen again. They've gotten nerfed like 2 or 3 times at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think the only thing that I would nerf about this team is that stupid support grip should not be one. I hate that. But they don't really need to get nerfed, so I
Yeah.
think you just leave it alone. All right, moving on. Um, I'm gonna my next two picks, unless you pick one of them, are gonna be teams that I personally hate playing against as a legionary player.
Okay.
Um, and the first one, I'm gonna say Hand of the Archon.
Ah,
And I'll explain
yes.
why I hate playing against this team as a legionary player.
I love playing against Legionnaires as a Hand of the Archon player.
So I think they're A tier. I
All
think they're
right.
better than Corsairs, so I put them in A tier. They're a little more reliable. They have more punchiness, I feel like, going on.
Yeah.
Um, and first of all, there's two things I hate about this team as a legionary player, like playing against them. One is that the torment grenade. Um, because I play Nurgle legionaries, right?
Yes.
And this is like one of the first matchups where I've honestly considered the possibility of like maybe I just go Slanesh versus this team because it almost feels like it doesn't matter if I go Nurgle. Because first of all, the Torment Grenade injures my guys regardless of any other rules, so Implacable doesn't work. And whenever I play this team, I feel like Mutagenic Flesh isn't doing anything because every time I get shot or attacked by this team, they get like 2 to 3 crits minimum. Because just between Rending and From Darkness Death and Lethal 5 and all this garbage, that I never get hit by normals by them. They're always just hitting me with like multiple crits. And it's like, oh, I'm glad I took Mutagenic and Implacable. Um, and it's like, oh, like the Nurgle Mark defense dice is nice, except they're hitting me with like a blaster with AP2. And it's like I only have one defense dice anyway, so it doesn't even matter. Um, so I just think they're really good into elites, and they're like each individual model is like capable of being killing enough to do pretty well into like weaker teams too.
Yeah, it feels like they trade pretty well.
Yeah, against almost anybody. Like I'm not sure
It's
if
that
they're
feel
like
no pain, you know?
feel no pain. Yeah, and they're durable too because that feel no pain. Like they're not 8 wound models. They're basically 9+ wound models. Like you're almost never gonna have a model with 8 wounds go all the way to death without making one of their 6 ups. Like that's so rare. Which means they make one of those 6 ups, it's like a 9 wound model. So it's usually 9+ wounds per model, and it's like you can't reliably kill them because of the feel no pain. And on a team wide level, that's like hard to deal with. And I'm not even sure we've seen them like piloted to the like maximum potential
They
of this
came,
team.
yeah, they came out in a weird spot where it was them, and then I think the next box it was literally like Felgor Ravagers, right?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah,
And then
the
after that
Felgors
it was
came
Ashes
next.
of Faith. So it's like there was like a month or two in between those boxes, and then it's just no, I haven't seen anybody really talk about them outside of like Chris Baki maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah.
think they're really good. I think they're A tier, but they might be better than that. Um, I don't think they're that bad into like Felgors and cultists, honestly, even. Like relatively speaking, they still lose to those teams, but
Right, yeah.
like I don't know. I think Archon's so sick. They're really strong.
So do you want them above Kasserkin, or do you think they're like a low A team? They kind of have to prove it.
I would put them above Casterkin. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
that seems good to me. All right, next up.
Yeah, so your pick, I think, right?
No, it's you.
Oh,
We'll see if you pick the other team I was going to pick.
maybe. I was gonna go ahead and pick Navis Breachers because this is
Okay, yeah.
another team that I wanted to highlight. That is like still after all these data sheets, and I think I feel like they've gotten nerfed a few times, once or twice or 3 times.
Hmm.
And they're still like too good. Um, yeah, just having like 8 wounds is on their chassis are so durable. They have so many good weapons. The shield guy has like 11 wounds and a 3-up save or something like that.
2 up save. 11 wins and a 2 up
Oh,
save.
my mistake.
Which is
How could I have see like I can't even believe that. So
it's unbelievable.
I think they're
They're
definitely
us.
they're definitely S tier. They're definitely comparable to power level with I would say Vet Guard.
Yep.
I think they're above Intercession. I think Intercession is S tier, but I think it's on the lower end. Just because these other
I
teams they can do a lot more. It feels like.
Yeah, I was gonna like before this. I don't know. Before a couple weeks ago, I was like, yeah, maybe intercession are like A now. But then they just won multiple majors, and I'm like, oh well, what am I thinking? Silly
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
intercession. Um, but yeah, no, breachers are sickening. They're so good. I mean, some of the things about them are just stupid. Like it's crazy they came out in
yeah,
the same box as Kroot, like release Kroot, um, because that was just such a disparity. Um,
yeah. I feel really bad for whoever bought that box and like went in on it with their friend and they're a big Groot fan. and they build and paint their recruit, and then that's it. They don't get any other kill teams. They just kind of treat that box as a board game, which a lot of people do. Uh, and they're just playing their recruit against these Navis breachers for like the
On
past
release.
year.
Oh
Like,
my
yeah, like
god.
on release, I'd be like, what?
Holy dude, yeah, the Kroot shooting their Kroot rifles, which are damage 2-4 because of the damage reduction at the time, into these 8 wound models with 4-up saves.
That doesn't sound fun, Shane. It doesn't sound
No,
fun.
no, it wasn't. It's not fun. Fortunately, like Navis breachers have respectively been nerfed a few times, and Kroot have been buffed once. Um, and I think the matchup is still bad for Kroot,
Yeah.
but at least it's it's not as egregious as it once was. But yeah, they're good. They won Warhammer Fest after getting their last nerf. Um, Navis breaches are sick. They're a little bit overshadowed right now because there's other beasties running around. But don't sleep on
Literally.
the breachers.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What's your next team, Shane?
So the next team is the other team. So breachers were not the other team I was going to pick. This next team is, and this is maybe a hot take, but and I haven't really talked about this a lot, but this is the team that I think is Legionary's worst matchup,
Ooh.
and it's Blooded.
Okay.
I think there is no team I hate playing against more than Blooded as a Legionary player. I don't think they're S tier. I think they're A tier. Like, but as an elite player, this team is just not fair, dude. Especially on open board, because they have. Okay, so I'm playing Legionaries against Blooded. The Blooded player is going to take a Melta.
Yep.
They're going to take a Plasma.
What?
They've got that Grenadier.
What?
They've got an Ogren.
What?
They have the Butcher.
What?
They can take the Enforcer and give him Relentless, so he has
What?
Relentless Power Fist. Yeah. Um, so that's like 6 threats that can kill any of my guys.
And you have
And they
six
have like
models.
I have 6 models. They have 12 activations. Or maybe it's not. Yeah, no, I think it's 12 activations. They have 14 bodies, but 12 activations. The potentially 14 bodies, 13, I think, if they take the Enforcer, and 12, yeah. And like unlike other shooty hordes, first of all, this isn't even like a pure shooty horde. They have melee, so they can hurt me in melee. And unlike other hordes, they have a shoot into combat ploy, so I can't even do that. That's like one of my best tricks against these 12 activation teams with guns.
Yeah.
Is I can charge a team or charge an operative and like do the Slaanesh stuff to lock them in combat. But Blooded don't even care about that. They just pay a
Nope.
CP and they shoot you anyway. And they might kill their own guy, but then you're not in combat anymore.
Yeah. And they don't care
And
if they lose the one guy.
they don't. And they have so many ways to kill you. It's honestly like they have so many ways to threaten you because they're gonna out activate you, and then like they comms buff the Grenadier, and then they have the Enforcer tell the Melta to dash up, and then he's closer to you, and then like they can give they give another guy Gaze of the Gods, like the Plasma or something, so then he can pay a CP next turn to get an APL to be 3 APL, and then he can threaten you in a way that he couldn't before. And it's like they really make a lot of use from the extra activations against an elite team. Um, and they're not bad into other shooty teams either. They're the only this is the my favorite part about the melee meta is that it's chased Blooded out of the meta because Blooded hate Chaos Cults, they hate Felgors, and honestly, good. I hate playing against this team as a Legionary player. They annoy me so much, and they do not get enough credit, in my opinion.
So are we
So
ranking them higher than Legionnaires in B tier?
I wouldn't put them higher than Legionaries, but they're an A tier in my eyes.
Okay.
I think you could probably put them between Void Dancers and Archon.
Okay.
Seems okay to me.
Yeah. And, you know, Intercession runs into all those same issues that you described, speaking from experience.
Yep. Yeah, I think they're the best team in the game against elites. And it's, well, okay. Second best because there's another disgusting team that was released recently that's just stupid, but we'll get to them.
So let's go ahead now and we'll talk about the AdMech.
Ooh,
Talk
the
about
Clade.
yeah, we're gonna talk about the Hunter Clade. I think Hunter Clade are they
They're
were
definitely not A in my
they're no,
opinion.
they are not A. They are absolutely not A. They're definitely like B because they're
Yeah.
nowhere near C. Um, Man, I don't know what it is with this team. On paper, it's like I look at them and I'm like, what is this team lacking?
Blast.
Exactly. So on Into the Dark, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. They're they were a team that was designed early on in the game's life cycle that did not consider like Into the Dark being out, you know.
Yeah.
The Rust Stalkers, I don't even want to say they're a good melee threat anymore. I want to say
Oh,
they're a good melee threat into like chaff. Anything they can charge in one shot or like two shot and kind of like take a little bit of damage because they have 10 wounds. That's great. But like against elites, it's like against like an anointed. To be fair, nothing can kill an anointed legionary in melee, right? Um,
yeah,
but
pretty
it's
much.
just like, but still, it's like you run into that, and it's just like, what do I do? I've sent two of my four Rust Stalkers into this one model, and it's just killed them, and I can't do anything. It's like,
So like the way that I think they're supposed to get around blast, not having blast, is like if an enemy, if you're playing against like a horde and they clump up, a rust stalker can have the double fight ploy and charge them both and kill them both. Um,
yes, yeah,
and that's like the best thing they got into that, but that doesn't help them into teams that are good in melee, like Cult. It doesn't help them into elites really, unless I like, kind of, but not really, because most of the elite teams, like I think they're great against intercession. Like intercession doesn't have a melee model that can like efficiently kill a rust stalker. Just doesn't exist.
yeah,
Like
not really, unless you take
they're
like a
not good.
power fist on a sergeant, but that's
Yeah.
hardly ever taken.
Yeah, because then you drop a plasma, right?
Yeah, exactly, and it's like that just feels
I'm not
bad.
gonna do that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I yeah, they're weird. Like they need teams need blast, honestly, or blast needs to be different because right now it feels like a team can't be as it like as the meta is now, a team can't be like amazing without blast. And to be fair, they do have one blast. They have the
don't they get a
like the
grenade or something?
they don't have a grenade. They're
Oh,
one of the only
okay.
teams without grenades, but they have a pistol on the
Oh,
leader
the
that
phosphor
is
blast pistol,
yeah, which is a good weapon, but it's blast 1 inch and it's a pistol. So it's like
and it's the chassis is super weak too.
yeah, you got to be careful with them because
Yeah.
the leader's important on that team.
Yep. All right. So yeah, I'm saying bottom B. I don't know if that's accurate. I just don't know where else to put him really.
Okay.
I feel like it's just another like they got buffed. They got buffed where you can take your doctrinas in any order you want and not suffer a disadvantage for it. Um,
Yeah.
that's there's a skill gap there, I think, with me running this team and like other more experienced AdMac players. But yeah.
Next up, I want to talk about a team. I have thoughts on this team. Uh, it's Phobos.
Okay.
So, I mean, not long ago, I was hyping up Phobos, saying
Very
that
high
they're
on
like the
Phobos, yeah.
most. Yeah, I think they're like debatably one of the most fun teams to play. Um, and I really gave them a run after their buffs, the Vanguard buff. And it definitely took them from like a C tier team to a much better team. But I'm gonna be honest. I think um in the public sphere of like the talking heads of kill team like uh, figures, I think Phobos is intensely overrated as a competitive team.
Overrated,
I
okay.
I do. I think that after they got buffed, some very good players took them and did well with them. And we didn't see that ever before with Phobos. And like the first time somebody plays against Phobos, especially after the Vanguard buff, it's like they do things that you don't expect them to do. And like a lot of these people that have lost to Phobos on like top tables have like talked about it and said like, oh, I just didn't expect them to be that fast, or I didn't expect them to be able to do all those things in one activation. And it's this consistent thing of like, I was caught off guard because Phobos are weird and nobody played them before. But I think in an environment of good players where they know Phobos's tricks and they know how to play against a team like Phobos, they're like B tier, I would say. Like, spoiler alert, at Atlanta this year, nobody probably will take Phobos, and if they do, I don't think they're going to win. It's like not in that competitive of a field. It just will not happen.
Yeah.
I agree they're a lot better, and I think they're so fun. I think they're such a fun team. But there's like a level of almost like gotcha involved if you're going to play this team. They're probably high B, yeah. That like I think against
So what are some
like
of like the gotchas
um
that you just alluded to?
so like a Reaver um with the grav shoot equipment that moves 4 inches up the board before turn 1 and pays for Vanguard, so he moves 7 inches and he gets a free mission action and he just moves 10 inches up the board and like grabs an objective. And then shoots something or something. Like they're able to like do all that in one turn and you don't expect that.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like an Incursor who, you've got Vanguard and the Incursor ignores obscurity and you think you're safe in your deployment zone because there's a big oil rig in the middle of the board and you're always safe when that's the thing.
Yeah.
But no, the Incursor jumps up and shoots one of your guys that you thought was 100% safe. And maybe he took Bolter Discipline. So he recon dashed up and then he took Vanguard. So he's climbing for 2 inches instead of 4. And he's got 7-inch movement. So he's moving 5 inches up onto a building and shooting a guy that's clearly obscured and kills him. And then he shoots another guy and he just killed 2 dudes. And it's like, that could have just been prevented by deployment and like awareness of the capability of that model.
Gotcha.
And I just don't think at the high level that Phobos is as good as some people say.
They're not going to be able to pull off a trick like that at that high level, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But really cool team.
Yeah.
Really fun team. If this was a fun tier list, they'd be S tier.
Okay. Do you think they're better than Hyrotech right now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Like, I think there's maybe like the argument that Hyrotech, if like piloted at the extreme potential of that team, is better. But like, I don't know if we've even seen that.
Gotcha.
So I don't know.
Let's go ahead now and let's talk about Inquisition, I guess.
Yeah.
So, haven't had the opportunity to run this team yet, but on paper, they look like they're shaping up to be pretty strong, especially after the the buffs to the Exaction Squad operatives. Because the way this team is run, you get the Exaction Squad models of your choice.
Yeah.
And then all of the keywords for Exaction Squad, they're just swapped to Inquisitorial Agent. So, really interesting team. I don't think we've seen a lot out of them yet, but what we have seen out of them is like good placing in tournaments.
Yeah, I'm just gonna paint a picture, like a hypothetical picture. Like
Yeah.
if Ashes of Faith was a box with only one team, and that team was Inquisition,
Yeah.
they would be the best team in the game, in my opinion.
Okay.
And like if the next data slate comes and they nerf Chaos Cult and they leave Inquisition alone, it's gonna be a problem. Because this team is busted, honestly. Like in any other meta, they would be the best team. But they came out with this monstrosity. So like
Yeah.
it's a little bit overshadowed, I guess. And like you mentioned Exaction Squad, and I agree. But like the Breacher ancillary is so stupidly good
Yeah.
that it almost doesn't matter. Like you get 6 guys with Breachers, which why?
Yeah.
You can take the shield guy, so you have a guy with 11 wound or 10 wounds and a 2-up save. You take the guy with the 5-up feel no pain and the big axe. You take a plasma or a melta or even the volley gun. You take the grenadier, you take the cat, so that way like you have 13 activations and you can switch an order with the cat and the surveyor together. So like you can't even like the threat range of that is just so crazy because they out activate any team pretty much. and then they can just like switch your order to engage if you move up the board at all. And it's like, what do you even do against that? Like, I honestly don't know what the play is. And they can take like 5 AP2 guns. So like they're probably the actual best team against elites. The only thing that where I'm a little bit more comfortable against them than against Blooded is Inquisition can't shoot into combat, which I think that's really important for a shooty horde.
Right.
But I mean, outside of that, like they can just turn off your ploys and like
Yeah.
they they have 13 activations and like 5 AP2 guns. And like we talked about Blooded earlier, having like 6 to 7 things that can kill a marine. Like Inquisition has 5 things that can kill a marine in shooting alone. That's not even counting the fact that they're going to have a few good melee operatives too.
That's right.
And like you have that servitor who's got 11 wounds and a 4-up save, and you put him next to that tome skull, and anytime you shoot the servitor, you have 1 less attack dice. And what? Like what do you do about that? Like I don't even get it. And you can give the servitor a 4-up invuln too, so like how does it die? Like I just don't know. So like they need to nerf the breacher ancillary because it's pretty crazy. Like why would you ever take Kasrkin instead of breachers?
Right. Right.
What, like Kasrkin are 5 guys and they're just worse. And honestly, they need to like limit the amount of AP this team takes because it's just crazy. So I don't know. I don't know if you put them in like Chaos Cult tier, if you just put them at the top of S, but like
I feel like they would belong there if Chaos Cult wasn't so crazy, right?
yes.
So I would say let's at least we'll reserve S++. We started this video saying it's for special occasions for when something is really, really ridiculously broken. Not to say
Yeah.
that this team isn't, but we'll put them top of S tier. And then
Yeah, I like that.
after this video, I'm probably going to go and get those models built. Anyway, moving on.
What's next? I think it's my turn, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. All right. Let's do Star Striders. Star Striders are pretty good, I think. I don't know if they're A tier, but they're like a good B tier at least.
Oh yeah.
I still am scared of them. Like I don't like playing against them.
Um, they just got the what was it, Relentless on the rotary cannon back or something like that?
Yeah, they did. And they've got the space laser, which is scary. Their damage reduction is still pretty silly. I've been meaning to build this team actually. I have them in the box still.
Oh, that's right.
They're good. They're good. I don't know how much there is to say about them that hasn't already been said because they're like a static team. Like there's no list building, but they're great. And do not underestimate them because they got hit with the Nerf bat a while back.
All right, so where are we thinking of putting them then? Top B or underneath?
I like top B.
Top B? Yeah, I think so. Because it wasn't that long ago. Like literally KTO this year we were talking about. This team is S tier.
Yeah, they were
right?
disgusting.
Yeah. Let's go ahead now and stay within my wheelhouse and talk about the Orc Commandos. So Orc Commandos, obviously.
I like them a lot.
Oh yeah, I like them too. I like them too. Just like Vetguard, they're an older team, but they were also one of the first team. They were one of the 2 first teams to come out. So I think they got nerfed a little bit, but then they got buffed recently to where you could take the Squig, the Bomb Squig and the Commando Grot for free, basically.
Yeah, like together. So they have 11 guys.
Yeah, so they've now have 11 activations. There's no reason now to like not take the Bomb Squig. So after all those changes, I think they're A tier.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They were going on a bit of a tear. What do you think? How do you think they perform into these melee horde teams? Cult.
Pretty well,
Beasts,
I think.
Yeah.
I think they're probably one of the best teams against Felgors, and I think they're one of the best teams against cults.
Okay.
They have a really deadly Alpha Strike with the dynamite knob with like forward deploying.
Yeah.
um, with like infiltrate. Like I I know Liam Garrett just won a golden ticket with them, like at the time of recording, like yesterday.
Uh-huh.
And we just saw Adrian Bonavento run them at Salt City,
Yep.
and he piloted them very well. I think they're great on both Into the Dark and on Open. And yeah, I mean, 11 activations is good. It's really good for a team like this. So I think they're A. No, no. Oh man, are they A or S?
So S is really crowded. A is really crowded.
Yeah, I think they're A. I would put them.
Above or
Oh
below
man,
Legionnaires?
I'd probably put them below Legionnaires, above Void. It's really close here between like Commandos, Void Dancers, Blooded, and Archon. They're all so close in my eyes.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm starting to think maybe Novitiates should be B tier.
Oh no, don't worry. Yeah, we're gonna be bumping people down here in a second because
Yeah,
this is
we
not
gotta
a real
switch that.
tier list right now. We gotta
Yeah.
it needs to get smaller towards the top.
Yes. All right. So yeah, I'm comfortable with that. Commandos are sick right now.
Yeah. All
All right.
right.
What do we got next? So it's my turn, right?
Yep.
Let's do Wormblade.
Okay. Yeah.
So Wormblade,
You were a
I
Wormblade main back in the day.
I was. And it was a lot easier back then to be a Wormblade main than it is
Yeah.
now. Um, it's weird because depending on who's talking about them, I either think they're over or underrated. I think they're C tier personally, um,
Oh, okay.
better than the other C tiers, but still, um, they like I don't know, like they just don't play well into elites in my opinion. They don't play well into the melee hordes. Like some people are really good at Wormblade and they will like podium a tournament with them, and everyone will forget that they're bad just because like a good player did that.
Yeah.
But they're really I don't know. They I think they need a buff. I don't know what the buff is, but like they feel a little too weak for me.
Okay.
Um, I don't like their matchups right now, and some people I've heard people say they're horrible on Into the Dark. I don't agree with that. Like I think the reasons they're struggling on Into the Dark are probably just like it's more meta related than it is Into the Dark.
Yeah.
Um, I think they're kind of okay on Into the Dark, but that's just me.
All right. So let's go ahead now and talk about Tau Pathfinders. So this is probably the oldest team in the game that I know the least about.
Okay,
I have never played or played against Tau
what?
Pathfinders in this edition.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, build those boys up.
Well, Jonah has them. Jonah's building them up.
Yeah. So like Pathfinders are first of all, I hate them. Um, I hate everything about them. But they are not very good right now. But the problem is it's like they can't be good. Like the way they're made, like something needs to change with this team. Like they need to be like reworked or something. Because if you buff them the way that like they maybe should be buffed, then they are in danger of being too good. Even right now, when they're not very good, there are scenarios on open board where they are like toxic. But on Into the Dark, they're like pretty bad. And like they don't have a ton of answers to the melee meta, I don't think. Um I honestly I think they're C tier, like the top of C tier, just because they're capable of being really gross. Like this team needs to get buffed in a way. Like we need to think outside the box with how to buff this team. I think if I'm Games Workshop, um, because like it's I don't know, like the internal balancing is kind of off with some things. Like there's some things that just don't get used. It's hard to balance an all shooty team with no melee at all without
Yeah.
them being either not good enough or too good.
And unfortunately, you can't really change that because that's the whole faction's identity.
Yeah. So I think they're the best C tier team. All it would take is like a small buff to make them like A tier again.
Uh,
Like I don't know what you change about them to make them like B. like because I don't think they've ever been B tier, honestly. Like, not really. Like, I think we might have had them in B tier on the last tier list, but like even that felt wrong at the time because they're just it depends on the setup and like the board and everything, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Pathfinders are weird. Next up, we've only got one team, Ryan.
Yep.
It's the Gellerpox. Um, I mean, they're pretty damn good, right?
Yeah, they're really good.
So they're not A tier. I think they're S tier for certain. Their win rate has been crazy good for a long time. Um, obviously, a team just came out that is like them, but even scarier. So it's kind of hard to like give proper respect to Gellerpox.
Yeah.
Um, and like I've said in the past, I think players are like inherently worse at playing against melee teams just because they're not used to it. But maybe after this summer of nonsense, they'll
Yeah.
be used to it. Gellerpox are great. They they're really strong. I don't like it's hard to rank them. It's kind of like Pathfinders where it's like they're basically an all melee team, like on one end of the spectrum, whereas Pathfinders is an all shooty team. And it's making that balanced is maybe a little tricky.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. Like I think they're better than Intercession,
I think
but
I think they're better just because I don't think Intercession trades very well into them, and I don't think Intercession can keep up with them with like
yeah,
activations. Like a 4 or 5 Super Bolter, Doom Bolter is only gonna do so much into like one of the 3 Hulks.
yeah,
It's like as an Intercession player, I look at that matchup and I'm like, well, I don't know. I'll just try and roll 4 crits, I guess. Like it's like what do you
yeah,
do? Like
yeah. I think like you either have to be able to properly kill the Hulks, which most teams just can't do,
yeah.
or you just need to focus on the little guys. And depending on how good the Gellerpox player is, they might be really good at protecting the little guys. So I don't really know.
Yeah.
Um, I think they're sick on Into the Dark. Some people think they're better on Open. Can't say I agree. Um, yeah, I don't know. They're good. They're scary, despite getting nerfed a bunch
Yeah.
too.
Well, a
Like it's
bunch. I mean, what were the nerfs they actually got? It was like
quite a few.
yeah.
They initially they have the Techno Curse ability,
Uh-huh.
where on release it was if you're within 6 inches of a Glitchling or within 3 inches of a Hulk, you have -1 on shooting attacks, -1 attack characteristic on shooting. But
Mhm.
then they nerfed that to be 3 inches on Glitchling and 2 inches on Hulk. The mutants and the Glitchlings used to have 5 up field net bans. Now they have 6 ups. Um, and you used to be able to get the extra CP from Vulgar standing on objectives more than once per game. Now you can only do it once per game. Um, and on paper, those are all like significant nerfs. Like that's pretty big changes to make them worse, and they're still like it hasn't even changed at all. Like none of these changes have even seemingly affected their win rate at all. And I don't know how that's even possible, but that's just what's happened. Um so yeah, I don't know. They're a weird team.
Yeah.
Like it's not like these nerfs have been like insignificant or not enough on paper
Uh-huh.
because you look at them and it's like, "Oh yeah, those are pretty good nerfs." But yeah. Anyway, I mean, that's the tier list, right? Is there anything we want to switch up?
Um honestly, yeah. S
What do
tier
you want?
is so crowded.
It
It's
is, but
it's
know.
wild crowded.
I don't know if any of those teams can be dropped from S tier. It almost feels like, honestly, it almost feels like there should be another tier in between S and S plus plus, which feels gross to say, but because I don't want to drop some of these teams down and I don't want to move some of these teams up with Cult.
Yeah. No, nothing's getting moved up to where cults are at. if I had to drop down one team that's currently in S tier, I think it would be Intercession, but that literally doesn't make sense because of
Maybe, yeah.
because of their recent tournaments. I don't know, man.
Or
They match up so poorly into everything in S tier, though, I think, except for
crazy
maybe,
idea though.
yeah. What's
Got
up?
a crazy idea.
Okay.
We've got S and we've got S plus plus
What if we did an S plus?
and S plus for Inquisition and Felgors.
Okay.
I mean, this is craziness, right?
Yeah,
But we're gonna do
this is wild.
it.
This is the state of the kill team meta right
This
now.
is the state of the kill team meta. There's
Yeah.
just too many teams, man. There's just too many. Inquisition and look at that. Doesn't that look way better?
That looks, yeah, that's great. That's perfect.
I like the people that are gonna skip to the end of this video and be like, "What the heck?" But this just feels it looks better to my eyes and it makes more sense to my brain.
Yeah, because I mean, this is a tier list, you know. Most teams are going to be B.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild that there's only one more team in B than in A. Um, I feel like the meta is it's top heavy right now. There are so many teams in the game that are so good and just have different play styles. Um, that like this is what it turns out to be. You just get like weird teams like Exaction Squad and uh, like the Kroot in B and C. Like they're not even
Yeah.
like it like there's no like we've only got a D tier for a reason, right? If there was anything that we could throw into an F tier, like it would be stuff that's in the Shadow Realm,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
like Deathwatch, every Marine team, um, the teams that no longer exist, the Comorites.
Tomb World.
Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely Tomb World, definitely Pathfinders, definitely Kroot, which I believe Kroot's been supplanted anyways. So
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I
yeah,
think it looks good. I think this is a good tier list.
yeah,
It's the game is a little top heavy right now. And that'll change. And as that changes, everything else will kind of ripple. And it's pretty good that we've only got one team in D. Like, I don't think any of the teams that we don't have in D belong there. Like, none of those C tiers, in my eyes, are like bottom tier teams.
yeah,
At least in terms of like when I play them, they don't feel like crap.
yeah.
But yeah. So I guess this wraps up the command point tier list for July. I guess it's coming out in August. Guys, let us know what you think. Let us know if we need even more tiers. Maybe we need less tiers. Maybe we need more. If you guys agree or disagree, put that down in the comments. And I think we're like really close to 8,000 subscribers. So
We're
if
incredibly
you're,
close to 8,000
yeah,
subscribers. Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you'll get notified whenever we upload so you don't miss out on anything. If you want to support Command Point a little bit extra, you can go and check out our Patreon, or you can choose to become a YouTube channel member. So that helps Shane and I out in producing and making all this Kill Team content for you guys. And then we also have a merch store, which, new merch alert, what's that? We now have the black mug.
oh, we got a black mug now.
We have the black mug now. Yep.
I gotta get that.
It's same as the other mug, except
I
this one's
want it.
black and it's way better looking, and it's gonna go with all of your other merch. Your black t-shirt, your black hoodie, your black long sleeve crew neck sweatshirt. I think I uploaded a new sticker up there as well.
Ooh,
Instead
give me
of
that.
yeah, instead of being the die cut sticker, it's kind of like the rectangular like patch looking sticker. So
Give
yeah,
me that.
go check those out. Links in the description, guys. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you again in the next one.